Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the NACDA and Affiliates virtual programming lineup. I'm Dana Leroy, Communications Manager for NACDA, and we are glad to have you with us for this sponsored content session with Four Tops Premium Seating. We have been talking a lot over the last few weeks about the fan experience and what it could look like once stadiums and arenas reopen across the country, whenever that happens. Today's session is going to focus on seating solutions for athletics venues in our new normal, including ways that athletics departments can create new donor, ticket, and sponsor revenue while attracting and retaining their fans. Deron, Nardo, and Dan Barrett from Four Tops Premium Seating are here today to lead this conversation. Deron is the company's president and has been with Four Tops since its founding in 2011. He oversees sales, marketing, and internal operations and has grown the Four Tops customer base to more than 175 venues. Dan is the Chief Revenue Officer and has been with Four Tops since the beginning of 2020 after working with IMG College for the last 8 years. Together, they have helped to position the company in the marketplace as the leader in seating innovation in the sports and entertainment industry. Before we officially begin, a quick reminder for our live attendees to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window to send in your questions throughout the presentation, as we will have dedicated time at the end to answer them. And with that, I will hand it over to our speakers to start the discussion.
Thanks so much, Dana. I really appreciate you having us and hosting this for us. And good morning to everybody. Hope everybody is staying safe and healthy out there in what is arguably a very difficult and challenging time, especially when it comes to college athletics. My name is Dan Barrett. Along with Deron, we'll be kind of hosting this forum. We're going to hold off questions till the end, but please do submit them. We want to make sure we answer anything that comes up throughout the course of this presentation. We are very fortunate to be in the space we're in, working with all kinds of different partners around the spectrum, but I would especially enjoy the college space. I've spent the last 18, almost 19 years actually in the college space, back with ISP Sports and then IMG College, as Dana alluded to. So I understand what everybody on the college campus goes through, especially when it comes to generating revenue. So that's kind of where my expertise and specialty lies in. So looking forward to sharing some things we are seeing across the landscape of college sports in general, but just revenue generational ideas and fan experience ideas that we are incorporating across venues and pros, college, and every venue that entertains fans. So let me quickly touch on what we're going to go through. Just a quick little history of Four Tops. We'll share with you kind of who we are, what we do, how we've been doing it. We're going to touch on a little bit about what's going on, industry trends, things we're seeing, things we're hearing from our partners around all the different sports industries we deal with, and then share with you some ideas that we have implemented or partnered along with our clients on to drive revenue and enhance that fan experience, and then share also with you a variety of slides of true projects that we've done over the last 9 years, just to showcase some different ways to use our seating solutions and concepts. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Deron, let him get the rest of the presentation started, and we'll keep going from here. Deron,
right,
take it away.
Thank you, Dan, and welcome everyone. And I echo Dan's sentiment. I appreciate you guys joining us, and I hope that we keep this thing moving and entertaining. A lot of photos and a lot of hopefully lively discussion at the end. So without further ado, I'll let you know a little quick history. So we started our company, Four Tops Premium Seating, back in 2011. We started with the product you see on your screen. It is in essence, a little loge box, 4 swivel seats that flip up around a table, and then we evolved our business to have a full product line of seats. Really, our reason to be is the breathable mesh seat. We'll get into a lot of the features of that seat, but we've had this mesh seat in the market for 7-8 years now. We have, again, a full product line from swivel seats to row seats to bar stools to bleacher seats, etc. We have a lengthening track record across all sports of not only providing products that last long, they create fan buzz, and they generate revenue. And again, that's really why we're here today. There's a lot going on in the sports world right now, and I really think that more than ever, venues are looking at their seating and saying, what can I do to create more revenue from this seating goal? We have moved on from, we got our legs under us in minor league baseball back in 2011. And have since moved on to most major sports, most in the U.S., but we have a lot of international customers in Canada and Japan. We've moved into the sports space. I'm sorry, the music space. Anywhere where there's folks congregating to watch a live event, whether it be music, sports, we think our seating solutions are great for any of those. And this is really the reason that we have enjoyed success so far in the marketplace. We took a marketplace that historically had just plastic and vinyl seats, and we've introduced this airflow mesh seat. And really, this is the crux of why our seat is superior, I should say. It's this temperature difference. This is an independent test was conducted by a customer of ours, and really found that our seats are anywhere from 30 to almost 50 degrees cooler on your body than other types of seats, and that really is the biggest difference maker. But that's not the only feature of our seat that is very interesting. It dries instantly after a rain, and if you step back and think about that in your venue, if it rains, your bleachers are wet, your vinyl seats are wet, your plastic seats are wet. These dry instantly after a rain, so none of that need to wipe stuff down. We've ergonomically designed it so you have some good lumbar support. You also have waterfall on the leg, so very, very comfortable experience. It's a sling fabric. It kind of gives with your body. It does not create pressure points. And then from an operational standpoint, and a design standpoint, we've done some cool stuff. The arms on the seat you're looking at are interchangeable. We have a tip-up gravity feature, so there's no springs built into the arm, so you can make the arms interchangeable, and the mesh components are interchangeable. So that seat back and that seat bottom that you see there are the same part, just reversed. So operations folks who are listening in right now, from an inventory standpoint, very simple products, minimal inventory, combined with the durability means these things last a long time. And when they have to be tweaked or fixed, it's a very simple, very inexpensive process. And finally, the mesh itself is stain-proof, rip-proof, and fire-resistant. So just an awesome seat all around. As I got into a second ago, the history of stadium seating has really not evolved a whole lot. And on the left, you see old school wood seats. On the right, you see what could arguably be called the top of the line premium seat before we came into the scene. And neither is a great experience. Those seats on the right are in Atlanta. That is a hot seat. It is sticky in the sun. I mean, you're just sitting in that seat boiling, and the temperature's going up while you're sitting there. Versus our seat again. So this history really hadn't taken many steps forward. I think we came onto the scene and have created something that is quite unique and quite a different experience for the fans. Speaking of those fans, we have seen the fan change quite a bit over time. On the left, you see some folks in Nebraska packed in, just there for a football game. On the right, you see kind of today's modern fan. They're watching the game, but they're also a little distracted. They're also more discerning. I mean, that situation on the left where everyone's packed in is less and less desirable seat for this more discerning fan that has emerged over time. And now we have a whole nother set of variables that we have to kind of sort out and figure out what to do with. And we have COVID. We have really a lot of uncertainty about how we're going to go back. Are we going to go back socially distanced? Are we not going to go back till we can fill up? And in any scenario, how are fans going to feel? Are they going to come back, or are they going to be a little worried and wait a little longer to get back into the experience, into the stadium? So, what I think is very important to discuss is before COVID, we've already seen a lot of attendance issues across sports. I cherry picked this photo. Folks at Alabama, don't be upset. This is late in a blowout. So that just was a good photo that kind of shows the way a seating bowl looks a lot of times in a lot of stadiums across the country. And, it's more precipitous in some sports, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, real issues with attendance. But, across every sport, there is some level of decline. So that already existed. And now we have COVID and uncertainty around that. And I really think, that, there's a couple things. So there's a revenue shortfall that needs to be made up. And I think our products are very good at driving revenue. But there's also this other part, the venues are too big. This whole idea of right sizing a venue should be in top of mind for people. And now with COVID, even more so. I mean, there are a lot of extra spaces that need to be repurposed. So you must make that seating bowl a very efficient experience in terms of driving revenue and pick spots and create experiences along a spectrum of premium that help drive revenue. So the conditions already existed. COVID has just sort of sped it up. And so here we are with we run our business. We've been doing this for 9 years. We consult with folks. I hope many, or at least some of you know who we are and have either done work for you or have come out to your stadium to do some consulting. But, we really like coming out to a stadium and looking at it and figuring out how best to put together a seating matrix that maximizes revenue. I'm going to turn it back over to Dan.
Thanks, Deron. As Deron alluded to, and some of those pictures alluded to, the experience from the past is in the need and dire need to change. And we talked about capacity issues, and we enjoy the business we're in because we live and breathe seating, and we live and breathe that fan experience. So we have a lot of great back and forth and idea creation, not only in our own internal offices, but with our partners. And so along those ways, we look at a lot of different solutions and how do our products fit in that mix. And I think what we've seen over the last many years, especially when it talks about some of these venues, some of these venues are too big. And so some of you may be in a situation where, as you look at your facility, how do we sell all these tickets we have to sell? How do we make those tickets valuable to the fan and they have the experience they get to enjoy in our venues be at the level of what you're trying to get from a ticket price point? So we've talked to a lot of different people about different solutions, and when we do that, we become very innovative. So we like to look at problems venues are having, and frankly, our company was started with that. The four tops concept, the half moon table and the four swivel seats, was begun from a problem a minor league baseball team had in their new facility, and they need a solution. And so one of the things we'll talk about is some of our new products we've identified just from talking to our partners and seeing what issues kind of keep them up at night and how do we address those issues. So one of the things, the left page picture is our new slimline mesh tip up seat. We have a number of venues, and we'll talk about some real world scenarios here later on, but where they're trying to just create a different experience. They've got a ton of bleacher seats, and they're trying to repurpose those sections. So what we're getting hearing a lot of from venues is, hey, we're okay losing some seats, but we want to make sure we maintain that revenue or even drive more revenue through it by creating a better experience. So we've got a concept with taking out every other row of seats and putting in drink railing, and then putting our mesh tip up seats behind that. In this picture, one of the challenges a lot of college campuses have is tread depth. So tread depth is that space from row to row that the seat has to sit in. A lot of those older stadiums were built with much more narrow tread depths. You don't have a lot of leg room for the fan. So we've created a slimline chair that's much more kind of streamlined in regards to when it's folded up in the envelope. It's a smaller seat pan, but you don't lose any of the comfort. So things like that are innovations we're kind of coming up with as we go through the challenges of different venues. Then the other picture to the right is we've done this in multiple places, and I think this is something that a lot of other places have continued to ask us about how to make this happen in their venues, is just doing complete section conversions and just taking out all the row seats and getting away from either bleachers or tip up seats in general, and creating a more loge boxy kind of concept with our four tops. Some of these concepts might be, different drink railing with different mounted swivel seats. There's just different solutions for that. Just a couple of different ideas that have come up over time, and we're seeing more and more prominent as fans kind of have a different experience. Go back one, Deron. There you go. So one of the things go to the next page. As Deron mentioned, we love to be on campuses. We love to be in venues and really sit down and collaborate and innovate with our partners. And so we kind of take a different approach to seating. We want to be more proactive. The great thing about working with our company is that we're a small, robust, entrepreneurial seating company, but we come with a very proactive approach and try to sit with you as a client and say, and look at your facilities and almost like a whiteboard and say, if you had nothing here, what would you want to put in here, and start creating concepts and ideas. And sometimes it's simply, hey, we need to upgrade our seating. We've got old plastic seats, we've got old vinyl seats that are kind of faded or worn out, and we want to kind of upgrade to a new modern seat. And that's where our products come in place. So that rendering you see there with North Carolina State was some old seats they have, and they're looking at maybe some ideas to renovate it. So we put in some slimline seats in there and rendered it out, show them what it would look like. We can do that for y'all as we engage with our partners and share the concepts that allow some of our clients then to take those renderings actually to either go sell against it to their fan bases and donor bases and whatnot. So, but we'll come on campuses oftentimes and just sit there and look at the stadium and try to say, hey, what sections are low or non-revenue generating sections? How can we help drive revenue? How can we create some ideas and solutions that can complement the experience you're trying to create for your fans, and also give you some diversity of pricing? Obviously everything can't be premium and the highest price point in the stadium. You want to have a little bit of something for everybody. So we try to approach that in that from that background as well. So you'll see just some ideas we've come up with as we go through this. And so then we talk about, again, low and non-revenue generating spaces. These are two ideas, and we'll talk on these a little more deeply, but Iowa State and UCF in particular have really taken advantage of what was white space. In the Iowa State picture, that was just a concrete concourse area, and the same thing along the UCF concourse there. That was just walking areas, and they put in 4 tops tables and have generated, in essence, of $400,000 a year in new revenue. So looking at the facility in a different way, helping create ROI for you as you go take that back to your decision makers. We're right there side by side on that process. And then Deron mentioned one of our new products that is out there. It's a permanently installed bleacher seat. And many of you on this call maybe have a partnership or have some type of a chair back rental program in place, and have had that for a long, a number of years. And we've come up with a better solution for that. We've designed with all the same materials and kind of components of our regular seats, a permanently installed bleacher seat that can be mounted to your bleachers. It can be either bought directly from us and you guys keep 100% of the revenue, or we can do a rental kind of program where we come in and install all the seats for you and you handle all the execution. But there's a really positive revenue stream that we've identified in a different model that we've kind of aligned with. So if any of you have any well, most of you have bleacher seats, but if you have any bleacher seat needs, this is a product we'd definitely love to introduce and talk to you about as a different way to overall enhance the fan experience. It dries instantly like the rest of our seats, doesn't mold and mildew, and doesn't have to be stored in the off season. So operationally, there's lots less headaches to your facility and your venue and your operations staff. And we just try to take all the kind of heavy lifting out of the equation for you. And then as you look at our products too, the last thing I'll touch on and then turn it over to Deron is we've got a number of ways, obviously, to drive additional revenue, not just from having a higher quality product and a higher quality experience for your fan, but all of our mesh can be logoed, whether it's your school logo, sponsor logo, whatnot, as well as we also have a whole broad array of custom colors that we can incorporate into our seating. So there's a lot of customization that we can do to kind of represent the school's brand and overall experience or revenue stream you're trying to generate there.
So with that in mind, what's usually very helpful when we're in meetings or in presentations is just showing folks what we've done, right? We'll talk through different installations, how it came about and what the problem was before creating a solution. So we're going to go through a bunch of college installs, and then we'll go across some different other sports, and we'll talk about those, and we'll kind of zip through those fairly quickly. And then we'll talk about our product line, the breadth of it, and then we'll open it up for you guys to ask some questions. So first one here. So we just recently completed this job for TCU. So this is their brand new club level at Amon Carter Stadium. Toasty down there in Fort Worth. So they had a real need to do what they could to make their premium fans more comfortable. And as I mentioned, this seat is going to be 30 to 50 degrees cooler on the body. You don't sit and sweat in that seat. So they looked at our seat as a great solution for their premium fans. This takes a lot of sun and can be a very, very hot experience in a different seat. So we have 1,200. That's just one section. It's 1,200, roughly 1,200 seats across the entire sideline in their club level, and then flanking it on both sides, there's some loge boxes in which we have our caster seats and some bar stools, which we'll show you those in a second. There you go.
So this project in Colorado, our caster chair really was developed around this project back in 2014 when they were doing some renovations to Folsom Field. We created this product, and it really is the only true mesh outdoor battle tested caster chair that can withstand the elements. We've seen over the years, it's amazing how many people have just gone out to the Office Depots of the world or just ordered, caster office chairs like you'd see obviously in anybody's office day to day, which aren't built for the outdoors, not built for the elements, not built for the wear and tear of that environment. So here in Colorado, they took advantage of this caster chair concept and put it in there. And other than them ordering additional seats, we've never had to replace one or repair one to my knowledge. And
if anyone's been in Colorado, it's the tough environment. That sun is brutal. So they've had tremendous success with these, not only creating enhancing the fan experience, but also lasting longer. An outdoor seat would be breaking down pretty quickly in the elements out there. We showed you this earlier. Again, this was a unused piece of concourse or minimally used piece of concourse. So we collaborated with Iowa State. They had some ideas. We put together this presentation that they now they sell against. The good news is they've actually come back and purchased. In fact, I think we're delivering them this week. A very similar space elsewhere in the stadium is now being outfitted similar to this because this works so well. Generated revenue, created a group area or space that brought additional revenue that was not being made. And so they've taken that and said, all right, where else can we, around the stadium, where else can we make some money? So we've put together another proposal and again, are delivering those this week.
Hey, Darren, let me touch on that real quick too. One of the things in the new project that this one was similar to is with our different levels of, or I guess, levels of products, in what you see there in the front row is regular height seating environment. And then we've got elevated bar height, drink rail, and mounted swivel seats. So what's allowed them to give different variances of viewership and not block out the fan experience that way. They've done the same concept as Darren alluded to, but actually we've actually got 3 tiers of seating in this next phase. Will allow 3 levels of viewing, and it just creates more seating capacity for them, and then can maximize the space from a revenue standpoint. Mississippi State, some of you may be familiar with this project. They did a complete renovation of the entire baseball stadium. And as part of that, they put in about 26 of our Four Tops tables in the right, I guess on the first base line, and used our caster chairs. A lot of times you'll see the majority of fans or clients use our mounted swivel seats for the Four Tops. In this case, they wanted to have the chairs be a little bit more mobile, so they used our caster seats for this. But again, a huge revenue generational tool for them that continuously sells out and has maximum ROI for them.
This is an early project with the mesh sheet. This was very similar to TCU, a club level, roughly 1,000 seats, a little more. Very tall treads. We had to put floor mounts in there because they were 23-inch risers, I should say. But again, similarly, there was a need to make the experience more comfortable. Fans, there was a vinyl seat in this space, and North Carolina State decided to pull those out and put in the mesh to enhance that experience for, club levels. Some of your most important fans, but they're paying top dollars. So they have reported back to us that their fans are very pleased with the experience, the comfort level between the vinyl seat and this.
Colorado State, similar to Colorado, a few years later, though, so they did a renovation of their loge boxes and wanted to implement, again, our caster chairs, and have held up well. I've met with them multiple times about doing additional projects as they kind of keep needing them. But again, this is a way for them to kind of leverage and maximize that space without having something that was permanently attached to the floor.
And this was on an earlier slide, and Dan brought up the most important part of this is the generation of, I think he said $400,000 in revenue from what was a blank concrete slab. They've replicated this on the other side of the stadium. So all told, there's 45 tables, but it was a zero revenue generation spot that is now bringing in upwards of $400,000 per season. That's real money.
Hey, Darren, let me mention too on this one. So one of the things that comes up a lot as we're having discussions is, costs and ROI. And one of the great things about, I think, a majority of our projects, and this is a great example, this project was basically paid for in cash they had pre-sold it from our renderings. So they took our renderings, went to their donor base and their higher end clients and took it to them and maxed it out. And then we're able to basically justify it again. But our projects usually pay for themselves, depending on the situation, in 1 to 1.5 seasons, and usually no more than 2 seasons. So you're not having to amortize a big capital expense across 3, 4, 5 years. And the other nice thing about these projects is working with us, we're kind of a one-stop shop. So we're based here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where I'm based out of. Darren's based out of Chicago, but we manufacture everything here in North Carolina. We sell it, we manufacture it, we come install it. So it's a pretty easy process. We can do all the drawings, things like that. And in most cases, our products, there's not a ton of construction work done unless it's already part of an existing ongoing renovation where we just put our products in. But in most cases, we can come in over the top of the current footprint and create some solutions that don't have to have major renovation and build out costs. Missouri, they did a big renovation in 19 at their end zones and put, I think it was about 24 tops tables and chairs. Again, they used the mounted swivel seats there. Again, just easy resell. The beauty of this product in its essence is it's 4 seats. You're not selling a 16 or 20 person suite. It's very conducive to a family or a small business that needs to buy it. looking at the brandability, whether it's the school brand or a corporate brand on the table or on the seats themselves. There's a lot of opportunity there as well to kind of drive additional revenues versus just the seat sales itself.
And one thing I want to add quickly. So this is our flagship product, Four Tops table unit. What you look at is, if you look at that photograph, you see those the seats look too close together to get in and out, but all those seats swivel 360. So you would spin a chair 90 degrees, enter and exit the aisleway you create. You've not asked anybody to get up and stand up while you get in or out. So this product and these same swivel seats along drink railing really minimize the up and down, the interaction or the interruption, I should say, of the viewing experience of a sport. So this table is a very social experience. Underneath that table stem, there are hooks for you can hang purses. You have this nice table space to put food and cell phones and what have you. But it's a really condensed unit that functions beautifully, is social. But that flip up swivel of all of those seats that you see there is a very key part of it. It allows you to really maximize the space and fit a unit into about 8.5 feet of space.
Darren, I was just going to mention that in case anybody's curious, that is about an 8.5 foot wide by 6 foot deep footprint. So if you're looking at how do these spaces and how do those fit into your facilities, that's the kind of footprint you're looking at.
This is a Dixie State project. They created, in essence, little suites right behind home plate. So each one of those, where you see the green bars, horizontal bars, each one of those is a suite in which there is 2 levels of seating. There is a 4-top table in the front at standard height, and behind it you have a taller bar stool. So they've created little mini suites there for folks right on the field.
I think the nice thing about that partnership and that client is we're not a solution just for Power 5 schools. We work with schools across every shape and size, all the different conferences. It is about trying to find the best product and solution for your venue and for the experience you're trying to create for the fans. And again, Dixie State can see and justify how they're going to drive revenue from this. And so it doesn't, again, not to be scared away by some of these other images of the Power 5 schools. We can work with any client of any shape and size. Eastern Michigan, this is a really cool project. We worked with Christian Spears and Heather Like there before they moved on to Pitt. So they had it's just a 50-yard line section. This is about as good as a seat as you can get in the building, but it was all bleacher seats before this project was done. We removed, I think it was about 12 or maybe 15, 16 rows of seats, and they did a little platform build outs, as you can see, and then installed those Four Tops products in those 4 levels, and immediately became the quickest, fastest selling product for them, highest return on investment, and drove some just great revenue, and in a venue that didn't have a ton of premium. So it allowed them to kind of have a different premium price point they could take to their clients.
And I want to crucially add we have a staging partner that we work with. And the good news here is no permits, no major construction. We come in and we handle all of that overlay from the existing seating bowl, build out the staging platforms, and then drop the seating on it. It is not an extraordinarily expensive process. It does not require a lot of construction and permits, so it's pretty turnkey. And we didn't want to bore you with all the details, but it's a list of other schools that we have done work with. A lot of these are, that caster seat in a loge box is extraordinarily popular in the college space. Ohio State, Texas Tech, Arkansas State, a number of these on here were that caster seat on the loge box. In Iowa, we put Four Tops table units in Carter Hawkeye Arena. We did a couple tables at Penn State University, Florida, and their softball stadium. On and on. We've just had a whole host of projects at these schools that all have something in common, that is solved the problem and drove revenue.
The other thing on this list too is we're getting a lot more requests for working on indoor projects. So he alluded to the Iowa project, but we've done indoor work for basketball arenas at Pitt and UCLA, and getting more and more requests on that. So even though we built their company as an outdoor solution, our products segue perfectly to indoors. It's more about the comfort and the durability of it as well when it comes to the indoor piece of it.
Yeah, and the material. If any of you sat on a Herman Miller Aeron office chair, which is an indoor office chair, which is made to keep people sitting all day at a desk cooler than leather, than vinyl. So we did focus on the outdoors, and all that stuff's UV coated and weather tested. Indoors, that same theory applies. If you're inside sitting in a plastic seat or a vinyl seat, you're going to get hot. You're going to be uncomfortable. So the indoor application is brilliant too. It just some of that the heat mitigation is not as dramatic indoors because it's climate controlled. The Miami Dolphins, when they repurposed, they reset all of Hard Rock Stadium. They gutted the bowl and just put all new seats in. In each of the four corners of the stadium, they put what they call dining terraces, created these beautiful loge box setups that sold out so quickly. Before the first season was up, we added a dozen more right at the 50-yard line. Extremely successful project from a revenue driving standpoint.
So comfortable you can fall asleep at them during the Super Bowl.
What Dan's alluding to is there was a Barstool Sports post on Instagram that had a guy. We would like to think he was so comfortable in our mesh that he had fallen asleep during the game. Clearly, he had a few too many beers, but the visual was fabulous for us to talk about the comfort of our seat.
Exactly. The New York Racing Association, again, we're kind of a broad spectrum of different areas we work in: racing, sport, that horse racing, as well as auto and whatnot. But they've used multiple products of ours in this as these kind of renovations of their backstretch. They have a whole premium party area. They did some stuff. You can see here they did really like a customized, nice flooring, and then different more higher end tabletop, as well as our mounted swivel seats there. And then in front, the section in front of that, as they used our mesh row seating. We've got other areas in this project that included our dining chairs, as well as some caster seats and some mounted bar stools. So it's a pretty broad-based project, and just really upfitted that area in a really neat, awesome, exclusive way.
And I think an important thing to note here is if you see they aftermarket put on these screens here where you can bet, watch, what have you. But in the post-COVID world, there's going to be so much more touchless interaction. You could imagine a scene where you have one of our tables, tabletop, an iPad with an ordering system, closed circuit, maybe some advertising, what have you. But the tabletop lends itself well to this trend that's only going to speed up with touchless ordering. Order from your table, go pick it up, or have it delivered. Citi Field, New York Mets had at a branded area or a group area. They wanted to more heavily brand and create a more premium experience. So in the front, you see swivel seats along a drink rail. Again, those are entered and exit from behind, so you're not interrupting folks in your row. Same up top. And then in the very back, you see some loose bar stools with tall rounds. But the branding is a key part of that. If you look at that, it's pretty clear who sponsored that space. And the Mets have reported to us that the Citi corporate folks are extremely pleased with how this turned out. Very, very premium experience.
We just finished a little smaller project, I guess, but similar up at for the Milwaukee Brewers at Miller Field for a Miller Lite section as well. It looks fantastic with Corian tabletops, and it looks super sweet. So can't wait till we got fans and seats using them. Here's a Detroit Tigers project. They kind of built out this concourse space, put in drink railing in our mounted swivels. They also took some sections and converted into some four tops tables concepts as well. So pretty big renovation, and branded it as part of their Pepsi porch project.
Las Vegas Aviators, very exciting development for us back last spring of 2019. AAA Oakland Athletics franchise. They put every seat in the entire stadium was mesh. We did 8,000. The seating bowl was 8,000 plus, and then they had this section in the corner where they did our mounted swivel seats along drink rail. But really, the first time in history that a stadium has been completely seated with breathable seats. And most of Vegas is extraordinarily hot. It's not uncommon for first pitch to be 100, 105, 110 degrees. So sold out the first year, set all kinds of attendance records. And the sales folks at the team just raved about the ease with which they were selling their seats, because the fans were, what they were able to do is tell their fans, we are giving you the best seating experience you can possibly have. And it helped a great deal selling those tickets. And after one season, they were reported to us the overwhelming success of the chairs.
This is a new product we just finished here, kind of right as all this craziness is starting to hit us. But the Wichita Wind Surge just finished their stadium. Really cool project in regards to the scope and size and how they took. Oftentimes, obviously, in baseball stadiums, those corners are just kind of tough. And so what they took is in the kind of the right field, top of the screen there, put in drink railing and mounted swivel seats, and then put in over 80 four tops tables and chairs in the corner section. Again, just super viewing angles. Again, with the swivel seats, you can obviously be socially interactive with your guests at the table, but also be able to swivel and watch the action on the field as well. And they put in mesh tip-up seats as well in all of their suites. So our products, again, in a universal way, can translate to not only regular row seating, suite seating, and then again some of these other kind of premium concepts we're alluding to here.
I'm going to brush through a couple of these last couple pretty quickly. Edmonton Eskimos, again, the key thing here, tough environment. These have been in place for 6-7 years. We have not sent them many parts at all to replace anything, but a non-revenue generating fan walkway. They built out this decking, glass balcony, and turned these into loge boxes that sell extremely well and have a building wait list, I'm told.
So any of you who've been around the college space for more than a few years or remember this, this is an awesome concept at Bristol Motor Speedway, who's been a partner of ours for a number of years as well. So the Battle at Bristol was that football game between Virginia Tech and Tennessee. Super cool concept. Obviously one of those concepts that I think is starting to gain some traction as venues look to try to fill in other events around what they're purposed for. Just like football stadiums are trying to do more concerts, I think some of these NASCAR tracks are trying to find different ways to accentuate what they have outside of just the couple of, the few race dates they have. So we worked with the Bristol team on renting out. We have a whole leasing division that works on special events. So big PGA Tour presence and any events like this that there's required some temporary seating to be brought in, we can do this. And so we brought in about 100 four tops tables along the field line there. So I would have been on the sideline viewing. So they were able to sell them for the football game. And then they also sold them as loge boxes for the Kenny Chesney concert that was there as well. So dual purpose, double revenue on it, and was able to maximize a really cool concept behind what would have just been, obviously you see right in front of it, just traditional row seating.
Key takeaway, as Dan said, we have a leasing division. We bring seats and tables out to events, PGA events, other events that aren't permanent. So we are able to, if you wanted to test something, we could lease you products for a season and give you a chance to test it before fully biting off the capital expenditure to put it in. So key part there. Last one here, Charlotte Motor Speedway. As you can see, we've been able to incorporate various colors of mesh into our arsenal here. So the Speedway, it's one section. We did almost 1,200 seats, 7 sections. They took out every other row of seats, put in drink railing, and used our colored mesh. So really cool looking project. Again, we just need some fans to be at the future races. And last thing is our last slide before we let you guys start asking questions. I wanted to give you a little look at our whole product line. I'm going to go a little clockwise very quickly. 4-top table unit at the top. The seat in the upper right corner is a green mesh sheet that we're using for the for an upcoming project. A high back on there, so we're able to turn any of our seats into a more premium suite seat with a high back. Loose bar stool on the bottom right. That bleacher seat we talked about in great detail. Just a typical row seat, bottom center. Mounted bar stool in silver. We have a folding chair line and a folding bar stool line. That's the North Carolina seat. Can be branded and painted to match school colors. And then finally, in the bottom left, our caster seat. That one has an upgraded chrome base and some gold mesh. So, key takeaways for you guys, in my opinion, look at us as a consultant. We have been doing this for 10 years. We have toured so many facilities across so many sports and came up with ideas for folks to drive revenue. So look at us as consultants, look at our full product line, have us come out and walk your venue and supply ideas, and then continue forward with the whole purchasing and installation. Again, like a soup to nuts, one-stop shop for us to consult all the way through that last bolt being drilled into the ground. With that, first, thank you I know a lot of us have Zoom fatigue. Hopefully we kept this moving along and kept your attention despite kids and dogs running around. So I want to open the floor up and see what we have in the way of questions. Hopefully when a couple come in, we can, there'll be others, but I think we have 2. Is that right, Dan?
Got a couple right now. Yep. So the first one is related to indoor seating. Do we have capability to fold down and store the events? I think you're referring to more like the telescopic type of bleachering, if that's what you're referring to. So we don't currently do that. Our seats aren't built that way and designed that way. So that's one thing we are not able to do, regardless of the telescopic function you'll see in some indoor basketball or volleyball spaces.
I would add to that very quickly that it is in our queue of R&D projects that we are considering. So it is, for today, the answer is a no, but we are looking at it.
Yep. Another question we have is, will we do special event one-time leases? Yes, that's, as we alluded to earlier, we definitely have that capabilities. And so if there's an event that you have coming down the pike, whether it's a spring game or something other, a concert or whatnot, we would love to talk to you about what our solutions can do and how they can help you drive some revenue and how they can be circumvented into your project. Dana, have you seen any other questions that have come through that we should be aware of?
I have a couple questions just myself. Another reminder to our live attendees, send in your questions through the Q&A button on your Zoom window. This is kind of more of an opinion question for you guys, but what sort of trends do you anticipate for distance seating as people are perhaps building new venues with keeping socially distant in mind? Will that change what you guys do, or you think it's also a matter of just selling seats in sections further apart? Interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we're very well positioned for the future in a sense that many of the products that we get called on to put in stadiums are naturally space creators. That four-top table unit is typically built on a 6-foot deep platform, 8.5 feet side to side. What you didn't see in here is we do have divider panels or privacy panels that we can put between tables. So you can really create a private experience and a safe experience for those fans. And all this downsizing, so we're walking a line, right? Our products do work well. We think will work well in this post-COVID environment. If folks want to change the matrix of seats and not have as many row seats where folks are on top of each other, and take sections and create spacing with our tables, with our swivel seats along drink rail, perhaps interjecting some privacy panels in there. We do envision the future getting somewhat back to normal. And so we're trying not to overreact right now. I mean, there's going to be a long-term effect. I think that goes without question. So, we really like where we are positioned naturally before making dramatic changes to our product line. So again, the privacy panel are something we introduced those as a way to create a little privacy and a little more protection for folks. There's tinted plexiglass, there's powder coated aluminum. So we're doing small things, tweaking our product line that already, like I said, I think it's the reason we get called in is to create more space for folks, create a more private experience. So we're not jumping the gun and doing too many things differently, but we are making some subtle additions to our product line for that future.
Yeah, and I will add too, the discussions I've been having with all my kind of contacts and point people across the country on the college campuses is, again, knowing the challenges that y'all are facing with revenue, and whether it's you're getting multimedia rights deals renegotiated, or you're trying to find new revenue streams. Again, that's where we think our bleacher seat is a great opportunity to create a higher grossing revenue stream for the school than what's currently out there. But we don't have to be part of a renovation project that's scheduled. I think just the way we can come sit down and walk a stadium and just talk about what could be can open some eyes, open some doors, and really just trying to reimagine certain things in the facility. And we just feel like if we can bring you an idea and a concept and then we can help you draft up a pro forma, how it can generate the revenue it can generate, that you can justify. It doesn't necessarily have to be part of some huge major innovation. We've done small projects, we've done big projects. We'll do whatever is needed by our partners, but we're open to kind of come in and look at it from a kind of different holistic view and just kind of white space it and then be able to give you guys some ideas and some strategies that might work for you next year, the year beyond, as you kind of start evaluating how those fans start coming back to your facilities.
That's great. I think that kind of touches on, we just had another question come through about tips of what you guys would suggest that administrators might say to their senior staff if they're receiving pushback on possibly, looking into solutions like this, just given the state of events being canceled, people putting fall sports on hold and things like that. But as you mentioned, I don't know if this would be in the wheelhouse or not, but smaller scale projects, outside of large venues, do you do like team rooms or study tables or training tables, things like that, as people might look to reconfigure the way that their student athletes are interacting within their facilities, their own training facilities?
Yeah, they're our products translate really well to indoors, whether it's our caster chairs in a conference room or a team meeting space or a locker room. The nice thing about our products, especially in a locker room environment, is they're breathable, they're cooler, they're not going to retain water or sweat from the athletes coming in and out of practice or games. So there's an element there where I think our caster chairs, we've had a lot of people asking about the use of them for locker rooms. So that's one indoor application. And then you got these team meeting rooms where you have traditional kind of row seats. They might be the big padded padded vinyl seats, but again, those can tend to get hot and uncomfortable as you sit in them for a period of time during your team meeting. So I think our row seating concepts can translate real well to that environment as well.
We've had a couple questions come through asking for your guys' contact information and the slides. So I just want to remind everyone who's on the call, we will be sending out from NACDA a follow-up email containing both Deron and Dan's contact information, as well as a recording of the presentation and the slides. So you will be receiving that at the conclusion of the presentation. Can you guys give us, an
Dana, I was going to say,
of special projects that you've done, like you've mentioned one-time rentals and things like that? Is there what's just a cool event that you guys have worked on, come in and initiated your solution?
Yeah, so we do our leasing unit was created for the PGA Tour. We probably handle 25 PGA Tour events. We've been doing that since about 2014. Again, the Battle of Bristol was another special event that they, in a lot of these college stadiums, you guys have end zone suites or other areas you create for the football season that are not part of the permanent structure. Any of those types of areas would be fabulous for us to come in. We could rent you the units for the whole season, but it was really, it was born out of need for the contract with the PGA Tour and fulfilling that need for those temporary events, which are very similar to yours. We come in, we set them up, they have their tournament, we break them down, soup to nuts, do the whole thing. And so any kind of one-off events, Final Fours, we're in a lot of conversations with Final Four, CF, bowl games where, the goal is to put as many people in the stadium as you can, but you don't want to just pack them all in rows. So you see a lot of structures built for one-off events, and that's really where our leasing division comes in. And we have a whole host of solutions that can drive revenue in those scenarios.
Hey, Dana, a question came up off the chat line I want to address. So one of the participants here works for a school, doesn't own and operate their home football venue. I'm just asking about that situation. I'm very familiar with that situation, actually, because when I first started with ISP Sports back in 2001, I was the general manager for University of Central Florida, and they played at the time at the old Citrus Bowl. So we rented that venue, and so very familiar with how the interaction has to happen in that kind of relationship. So I think it's probably the best idea, the best solution would be to talk to you about that, your kind of working relationship with that venue, see what they're open to, maybe even work with them on maybe there's plans that will help upgrade the facility as a whole for all of their events, not just for your respective football games. And we kind of get buy-in from everybody, but definitely open to having that conversation, whether it's a permanent solution or a temporary solution for your respective games.
All right, we have
Anything
about
else?
10 minutes left. I just want to open it up for you guys. Maybe you could talk about what sorts of projects you have coming down the pike. I know, you covered a few really awesome case studies that you guys have been working on, but coming up this fall, as these next couple weeks will be pivotal as schools are announcing their plans for fall sports, and just what's ahead for you guys this next upcoming semester.
Darren's muted, so let me jump in real quick. So
Sorry, guys, I just realized I was muted.
Go ahead, Darren.
For the college space, we're working with Alabama and South Carolina for their big renovations, putting in our caster seats in their loge boxes. Iowa State, we're working with Villanova in their basketball arena for this winter. We have one big project I can't really talk about, but it's very exciting for us that will become news in the next month or so. But anything else I'm missing in the college space, Dan?
Well, there's a number of obviously renovations that are taking place that we're engaging conversations with at Texas and the Clemson projects is out there, but I think it's now getting pushed back a little bit. The one of the challenges with this situation is a lot of projects they're trying to justify, can they make them happen? Should they make them happen now, or should they push them back? So, which is fine. Right now, we're building our plan for folks for 2021. We're getting a number of schools that want to talk about our bleacher seat program and incorporate that, because they're going to have to obviously start promoting and marketing that here in the late fall, early winter, as they start doing their season ticket renewals. So we want to get ahead of that and obviously get our production game plan laid out for folks who want to get on that plan. So definitely having lots of discussions about our bleacher seat, how it incorporates not only for football, but other venues like a soccer facility or baseball facilities as well, or softball, whatnot. So we've got a number of those conversations happening. And then really just kind of going out and talking to people. There's a ton of, it's funny, with the probably last 6 places I visited prior to kind of getting off the road, was a wide variety of venues. It was a Major League Baseball team, an NFL team, two college campuses, a minor league baseball team, and every one of those facilities, as we were talking about what they're working on, what do they see needs for down the future, is interesting that about 2 or 3 of them were actively replacing, basically reupholstering their padded vinyl seats, which I found interesting. You got a seat that's 2 and 3 years old in some cases, that was already being replaced. So I think there's a huge opportunity and need out there for folks that are starting to see that, because what that ends up doing is we look at it as the lifetime ownership cost of these products, right? So our product cost X, a competitive product might cost Y. There might be a little bit of variable in pricing there, but I think, as Deron alluded to earlier in the presentation, the durability, the simplicity of the design of our products, the really low attic stock requirements and needs, as well as our industry leading warranty, just allows you to have a lower cost of ownership over the life of our seats versus, we believe, competitive products. So it's interesting watching how that's happened out there. And then there's a number of, again, we're a 9-year-old company. And so we're kind of the new guy on the block. We're kind of a disruptive little innovator, little engine that could, but we don't have a head start. These other companies that are out there have had 20 and 30 and plus year head starts in the seating space and relationships. So we're, in a lot of cases, introducing ourselves. People, if you haven't used our products or haven't sat in them before, you're really not aware of them. And so as a fan or an administrator, you don't know the quality and the comfort level that can be there, because we're all used to sitting on aluminum bleachers or padded vinyl or plastic seats. So we've got to continue to spread our message. And I think one of the things too is that some of these older companies have got products that are now becoming outdated. They've maybe moved on and they stopped making that product. So I think there's an opportunity for some of these venues out there where we can help you with seat replacement, because you just can't get parts anymore for some of these products, or the products are now just old enough to where they just need to be replaced. You got to do facility maintenance to some degree to keep the fans comfortable in a much more appropriate seat. So that's, I think, one of the areas that we can come into as well.
Have you guys seen anything or experienced trends in student seating sections, and kind of an offshoot of that, just more like GA sections? We've talked a little bit about premium seating, obviously, but those specific sections, or what do you expect schools to do to tailor to the student body coming back into venues?
Yeah, I'd say that my short answer would be we tend to work in premium spaces. So the GA, while we have done GA seating in a number of cases, we don't focus on the GA solution as much, because we are really of the opinion that the sports landscape in with regard to stadium seating, sizing, all that kind of stuff is evolving so quickly to more premium spaces and less GA, that we really have our reason to be, and our company really was founded on this whole principle of premium becoming a bigger part of the matrix, because it does drive more revenue. So, I don't know that we haven't catered much toward the student seating, if I'm being honest. Dan, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think they've had a couple of discussions just trying to see if there's ways to kind of repurpose that space, because again, I think a lot of the folks on this call and across the whole college landscape have a challenge with students' attention spans. How long are they coming to games, and when they do come to the games, how long are they staying? It doesn't matter if you're Alabama or Alabama State, or pick a school. There are challenges to keep students in the stands through the fourth quarter. So again, a part of that might be the comfort level. I mean, most students are just stuck on bleachers. So is it a conversion to a different type of seat? Maybe it's our slimline product, but giving them a more comfortable experience while they're there. The hope is that they're standing up cheering the whole game, but every game's different. So, but I think we're open to discussing ideas. We have I've talked to a couple schools. Do they even look at maybe taking out seats and just putting in drink railing or something like that, or making some type of a social area that's more drink railing centric, so they have a place to put their phones and they're standing up and cheering from there versus having to worry about seating. So there's things like that can be more somewhat generic, but different ways to address how you kind of give something for the kids to be there and be in a more comfortable environment.
What's your process? How do you address ADA compliance?
Yeah, I mean, every job that we have done in our history requires us, we let the teams dictate what we need to provide them. So we have a host of solutions. We have seats that are mounted differently so that they can be removed for ADA seating. We have a hinged arm for the aisle ends for accessible seating. So it's a part of every job. We talk with the team and figure out what their needs are, and then we have, like I said, a series of things that we deploy for those ADA spaces that meet all of the ADA requirements.
And then a lot of the ADA sections, we're getting a lot more requests for our caster chairs or our folding line for the companion seats, so that you have a companion seat that can be removed and replaced if need to be. So we've got solutions for all those scenarios.
All right, well, we're coming up on the top of the hour here. We have a couple minutes left if there are any other questions. Otherwise, I'll open it up to you guys just for kind of a closing statement for our attendees on the call today.
Darren, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the key thing is this is an evolving situation. I mean, as I said earlier in the slide, attendance hasn't been great. It's trending in the wrong direction. Now we have this unprecedented scenario that we're kind of all in a wait and see mode and figure out what the next step is. But I think the key part of this is that we are, unlike many companies, in that we have consulted and met with hundreds of y'all in college and football and every sport. And inevitably in those conversations, we've learned a lot from those teams, what's working, what's not. And we really have a honed craft where we can come in and consult. So I would say I'd like you guys to leave this presentation with the idea that lean on us for ideas to come in and look at those spaces and figure out what is best for them. I think that's a key thing. I think seating vendors historically are called in the 11th hour and an order is placed and it's fulfilled. It's not quite as collaborative because, quite frankly, in the seating world, there really wasn't as much stuff to really choose from. And we've come in and crafted a whole solution suite of products that are, for niche spaces, for premium spaces, really, to drive revenue and really work well with the way these trends are evolving. It's downsizing, right-sizing venues, but upgrading the experience for folks. And, COVID is only, I think, fast forwarding that need. So I'd like y'all to leave this with the idea that Four Tops is here to consult with you and come out to visit with you and talk about what's best for your stadium. I think that's an approach that we really hang our hat on and are proud to do, take you from first meeting all the way through to project completion.
Yeah, I would echo all that. And one last thing is, I think with my multimedia rights background and having been around your all's environment the last almost 20 years, I definitely look at it. We as a company look at it. How can we be your partner in this process? How can we sit down with you, collaborate, and give you the resources and tools to generate revenue? We don't want to be just an expense. We don't want to be just a seating vendor. We want to be your kind of full service seating solutions provider, where we can bring all of our different concepts and kind of scope of products to help you, help your fans, and then help you ultimately drive that revenue for ticketing, donors, et cetera. So lean on us where you're able to. Lean on us if you just want to bounce questions off us or just talk about scenarios, and we're here ready, willing, and able, and ready to get back on the backside of this whole COVID experiment.
Last thought before we go. The title of our presentation is Seating as an Asset, and historically seating is an expense, as Dan just alluded to. It's a line item. It's an expense. It's not been particularly high up on the in terms of importance. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift that thinking, and by using our seats, we're going to shift your focus to the other side of the ledger, where by using our seats, you can drive the revenue side of it and not focus as much on the fact that it's just a sunk cost that you're putting in a stadium, because it really is a tool. We look at our seats as a tool for you and your venues to generate revenue. So it's very crucial for us to, the seating as an asset and not as a cost is a very important thing that we've been hitting on for years, because it is really the reason for our business, the existence of our business. We're here to create assets, long-term assets for you guys in your stadiums.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Deron and Dan, for lending your time and expertise to our NACDA and affiliates members this morning. And thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your continued support of all of our associations. Take care and be well, and we hope to see you online again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.